I'm Palestinian. Both my parents born there, raised there. I was recently discriminated against with East Bay Club, and I didn't know where to go. Once I reached out to CAIR, they were quick to respond. From the top down, everybody was very helpful, very responsive, never having to wait for an answer, getting on the phone if things were not clear, and making sure we were all on the same page. This wasn't just, hey, another case. To me, this was personal for them as well, and it felt that way, and it felt like, I had my family standing behind me. Sorry.
I'm a staff attorney here at CAIR-Chicago.
The communications coordinator.
Special operations coordinator.
Administrative assistant.
Communications operations coordinator.
Staff attorney.
Legal director at CAIR-Chicago.
Legal associate.
Outreach coordinator.
Civil rights law clerk.
A law clerk.
Outreach intern.
Law clerk. Communications intern.
Governmental affairs intern.
An outreach intern at CAIR-Chicago.
I'm a CAIR client.
Here in Illinois, CAIR-Chicago is committed to being both a shield and a lifeline
for our community. We never shy away from the work, advocating for domestic and global issues in order to shape our world into a better place.
And not just do so defensively, but to start going on the offensive after those who methodically and intentionally seek to harm our interests.
Our team monitors local media closely to flag bias and educate the public.
The communications department at CAIR-Chicago works at the speed of the news cycle.
New lawsuit tonight against the U.S. State Department for not evacuating Americans from Gaza.
U.S. citizen who escaped from the war in Gaza is now suing the State Department for failing to evacuate all Americans from that region.
We amplify the voices of the Muslim community across Chicago and beyond, making sure their stories are heard, not forgotten.
Chicago resident William Osfor moved to the U.S. with his parents in the early 2000s.
His family has documented their life on the ground in Gaza the past couple of years through videos and pictures.
My childhood house being destroyed, my grandfather's house being destroyed, my mom's childhood house being destroyed, memories gone. This is impacting all generations.
Osfor also has lost family members. Others, like his cousin Yusuf, are unrecognizable.
This is my first cousin Yusuf Abu Anza before this happened. So this was October of 2023. My first cousin Yusuf survived an attack that killed his father.
That is what we're facing in Gaza, and that's what's barely making the news, let alone getting these elected officials off their seats, let's put it politely, to get up and do something about it.
The group is also urging lawmakers to investigate what they call politically motivated deportations.
Protests in front of the Israeli consulate building in Chicago.
My mom's uncle was killed. My mom's aunt was killed. My mom's cousins were killed. The spouses of my mom's cousins were killed.
Here's the narrative that we're missing. This is a fact, that there hasn't been the same outrage when it comes to the innocent civilians in Gaza that are being murdered every day.
Palestinian advocacy is more than something I do. It's something I love. It's about honoring the voices of my people, preserving our stories, and pushing back against erasure.
CAIR-Chicago is now demanding an arms embargo against Israel and an immediate ceasefire.
Just one day, 174 children were killed. We know about the mass shootings and how much these events rightly shake up our country. Imagine if we had a mass shooting, God forbid, where 174 children are killed in one event.
The Palestinian people in Gaza are entitled to self-determination, not Trump determination. They've fought tooth and nail and lost life and limb for that right and for that freedom, and that will not change in the future.
CAIR-Chicago represents clients in discrimination cases, whether it's at work, in schools, or encounters with law enforcement and immigration.
One client was fired by a major Chicago employer simply for his national origin and identity, until CAIR-Chicago intervened. Sometimes, one powerful demand letter is all it takes to win justice without a single day in court.
In the state of Illinois, we have a new law, the Anti-Doxing Act. CAIR-Chicago is one of the first law firms to attempt to use this law to fight back against the widespread doxing of people expressing support for Palestinians.
Doxing is really it's a bullying tactic, and that's why it's all the more important that we do have this project to fight back against that.
CAIR-Chicago was able to file a complaint against the person who doxed me, and was also able to file a separate complaint and a class action against Canary Mission. And so there are two separate cases currently going on.
Anti-Semitism is now redefined, not just as hatred of Jews, which is something we all oppose, but criticism of Israel, which is something that any person of conscience should be able to do in a free country like America. The attempt to declare this legitimate criticism of a state engaging in genocide as anti-Semitism is both false, dangerous, and ridiculous.
Now, the nation's largest Muslim civil rights nonprofit is calling for hate crime charges after a violent attack that happened right near a Pilsen mural.
The artwork celebrates the Mexican and Palestinian communities.
Natalie Figueroa, who works right nearby, says that she saw a woman trying to paint the word Israel over that mural on Friday night. When she tried to stop that vandal, she says she was beaten.
I want her to be held accountable for what she did.
She needs to be brought to justice and charged with assault, with battery, and with a hate crime.
When I stood up to hate, I was brutally attacked by a Zionist. CAIR-Chicago provided the legal assistance I needed in order to make sure the trend of Zionist impunity was halted here in Chicago.
Could show that we are capable of fighting back, that we have strength, and that justice has to be served.
Outreach at CAIR-Chicago is about building a stronger community today.
We build power from the inside out.
We invest in young leaders, and we stand ready to mobilize when challenges arise.
One of the biggest projects we worked with was the Good Shelf Project. It was our initiative to change the narrative of how Islam is portrayed on library shelves.
A bookshelf in every library and community that is accurately representative of Islam and Muslim culture.
I think it's important for every child to see themselves represented on the bookshelf.
Education begins in places like libraries and community centers, and fighting misinformation there faces a whole array of issues down the line.
Through our nationally recognized internship program, we've trained over 1,100 students from 122 colleges to become the next generation of leaders and activists.
In this last year alone, CAIR-Chicago has received over 3,000 media mentions for the last 20 years, bringing it to over 25,000.
CAIR-Chicago documented 682 legal intakes this year, a 32% rise from the year before. Each case represents more than legal work. It's about protecting lives, livelihoods, and the freedom to live with dignity.
Students and free speech activists here in Chicago are continuing their fight on behalf of detained Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil.
Weaponizing ICE and weaponizing government agencies to penalize him and teach him a lesson.
Today, in the City Council, we are calling and we are introducing a resolution to call for the immediate release of Mahmoud Khalil by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agents, ICE, and for an investigation into the circumstances surrounding his detention.
Mr. Rehab, is there evidence that Mr. Khalil was somehow supporting Hamas or some kind of Hamas sleeper agent?
There is no evidence of that. The only evidence we have is of a young man who's standing up for his people against genocide, against death and destruction, dispossession, against maiming. And so he joins many Americans, Palestinians, Muslims, Christians, as well as Jews and others who are standing against this genocide. And because of that stance, he was targeted. And because of that stance, he was delegitimized and essentially abducted. It's very scary because it goes to the very heart of what makes us America, the freedom of expression, the freedom of conscience. There is this chilling factor, this scorched earth approach by this administration that has targeted universities as it has targeted student protesters and civil rights organizations. Zionism in this country is increasingly becoming the sort of thing that you can't talk about and criticize. And that's the elephant in the room. Not a lot of people are willing to say that, but we need to start having this conversation. You can critique and criticize America, but you can't criticize Israel and Zionism. That's what this is about.
The Chicago Muslim community knows it can call upon CAIR-Chicago in its time of need, and the team will do everything to bring about justice.
Responding to injustice must be systemic. It must be institutionalized.
Every victory we achieve, every family we serve, is a direct reflection of the community's support.
Working with CAIR-Chicago helped me realize that if you want progress or if you want a solution, you can be the one that does that. It takes hard work, it takes dedication, but it's attainable. It is in your hands.
We will defend the civil rights of every Muslim. We will hold accountable those who seek to harm intimidate, or undermine our dignity. And we will do so not with fear, but with conviction. This is our moment.
Engage.
Support.
Protect.
Defend.
Resist.
Organize.
Empower.
Persist.
Unite.
Amplify.
Advocate.
Transform.
Together, we are shaping a future rooted in justice and unity.